Good morning there, CJ Math Scholar. So today we're going to work with multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. So just like we learned the difference between adding, subtracting, and multiplying and dividing, we're going to learn the difference between the same thing but with mixed numbers. So let's start off with the goal of our lives is to live with God forever. So remember, everything we do, the idea is to help ourselves with our education, but also be able to have the skills and knowledge to go out and help the world. So let's start off with something that should be familiar to us, which is adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So we need to find common denominators when we do this. Hopefully you remember me yelling yesterday in class, you do not need common denominators when you multiply and divide, but don't forget that you do when you add and subtract. So the common denominator for 9 and 12 happens to be 36. So I'll multiply by 4 here and by 3 here. And I can do that also in the subtraction problem too. Alright, when I do that on top, I'll get 2, and 2 times 4 is 8 over 36, plus 1, and 8 times 3 is 24 over 36. And I should get the same thing here as well. But it'll be minus, and then 24 over 36. Only difference between this problem and this problem is that we have an addition and subtraction sign here. Alright. Here we can add these guys straight across because I have the common denominators. So 8 plus 24 will give me 32 over, keep the denominator, 36, and 2 plus 1 is 3, so equals 3. So we need to remember to have common denominators, and we also need to remember to keep denominators. All right. The last thing we need to do in this problem is simplify, because 32 and 36, I can divide them both by 4. This was a proper fraction. It's not like I had to change it from into a mixed number and add it back. But I get my answer of 3, and 32 divided by 4 is 8/9. Let's finish up the subtraction one. Now, notice on this one, did the same exact thing of common denominators, and we made sure that we will eventually keep the denominators, but the other thing we need to watch out for is to look for borrowing. And in this case, we cannot subtract 8 minus 24 because 8 is smaller, so we will need to borrow. We'll borrow 1 whole from the 2, so that will become 1. Sorry about that. That will become 1. No. 1 plus 36 over 36 plus 8 over 36, and this is going to be equal to 36 plus 8, which is 44. So this is 1 and 44 over 36 minus 1 and 24 over 36. Notice I have common denominators, so I can go ahead and subtract now. 44 minus 24 gives me 20. Keep the 36, and 1 minus 1 is 0. I don't have to put a 0 there. Last thing I need to do is make sure I simplify. In this case, I can again divide by 4, and I'm left with my answer of 5 over 9. Okay, so now remember to shift your thinking now from adding and subtracting to multiplying and dividing. The key rule for multiplying and dividing mixed numbers, whether you're multiplying or dividing, is change everything to improper fractions. This is like the one time outside of maybe subtraction where we borrow and we end up with an improper fraction. These are the one times where we actually want improper fractions, because you cannot just do 2 times 1 and then 2 times 8, 9 times 12. You can't do that. It's not what we're going to do. So we're going to change everything to improper fractions, and then it's going to be the exact same thing from yesterday. So hopefully you remember how to do this, and it's pretty simple. You're just going to do 2 times 9, which is 18, and then you add it to the top. So this improper fraction becomes 20 over 9 times, we do the same thing, 1 times 12, which is 12, and we add it to the top, which is 12 over 20 over 12. And then just like yesterday, so that's step 1. Step 2 is just look to cross cancel. Again, we do this to make sure that we don't have to have huge numbers to simplify in the end. So ask myself, all right, between 9 and 20, do they have a number in common outside of 1 that I can divide them both by? Unfortunately, no. But what about between 20 and 12? I can divide them both by 2. I can also divide them both by 4. So 20 divided by 4 becomes a 5. 12 divided by 4 becomes a 3. Now I can multiply straight across, right? 5 times 20 is 100. 9 times 3 is 27. I have my improper fraction, so I say, all right, how many times does 27 go into 100? Hopefully you have your reference sheet out. It should be about 3 times, right? So 21, carry the 2, 81, right? With 19 left over, so 3 and 19 27ths should be your answer. All right, so same thing here. We're going to change everything to improper fractions. We're going to flip second fraction before we look to cross cancel. That's just going to be the major difference here. All right, so let's go ahead and try it. So 2 times 9 plus 18 gives me the same thing, 20 over 9, divided by, keep the division sign, change this, 8 plus 12 is 20 over 12. And so this time we're going to go ahead and do 20 over 9, and we're going to go ahead, this is the flip part, flip it, times 12 over 20. All right, so now we ask myself, all right, 20 and 20, do they have in common? Well, yeah, they have 20 in common, so they both become 1. And divide them both by 20. And then 9 and 12, do they have anything in common? Well, yeah, I can divide them both by 3. So this becomes a 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Multiply straight across. I should get 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. That's an improper fraction. 3 goes into 4 one time, 1 left over, 1 1/3. That's part 1 of the notes.